Hey guys, I am waiting on Instagram to catch up with the fact that we've gone live. There we go. We can go live on Instagram for this too. There we go. Okay, happy Friday, everybody. I can't believe it's Friday. I also cannot believe that we are coming upon some really fun spring events. I have been dying literally for some spring weather. Yesterday I was so miserable because the cold just seems to never end around here. And now that we have warm weather, I am super excited. So, oh gosh, crazy here. Um, this conversation came out of a conversation that I had with one of our brand representatives because some information was going around about the nutritional content of their raw pet food and why they had certain vitamin and mineral contents that were a little bit higher than some of their competitors and why that would be and what the differences are. Now, this specifically addressed the conversation we were having, specifically addressed copper and calcium and phosphorus. And one of the things that we started talking about is the importance of rotating proteins, and not just proteins, but rotating the foods that you feed your pet. And I think it's probably one of the lesser known things about feeding pets that people don't ever consider. And so if you're feeding in a bowl, some people feed in a ceramic bowl or in a metal bowl, or some people feed in a slow feeder, and some people feed on lick mats. You may have seen our competition we had between Jessica and Aiden yesterday, eating out of this very lick mat. But no matter how you're feeding, some of the things you need to consider about what you're feeding your pet is that you're not feeding them the same thing every meal. Why is this important? Why, there used to be this frame of thought like, if you're feeding them, don't fix what isn't broken. So if they're doing well on this formulation, then you should just continue to feed that. But we don't do that. And why do we not do that? We don't do that because it wouldn't be a great nutritional profile if we ate the same thing every single day. It would also get really, really boring. So I would ask you to think about your favorite cereal. Maybe your favorite cereal is Cinnamon Toast Crunch or one of those cereals. But if you had that in your bowl for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you'd probably get really sick of it, even if it's your favorite cereal. Your body would also crave more than what's in that cereal. Each protein has its own unique amino acid complex. It also has, beef is rich in certain things like iron. We know red meat is really rich in iron, but it also is not as rich in omegas like fish. And so we know that by rotating those proteins, you get a better nutritional profile for your pet because they may get more iron when they're eating the beef. They may get more omegas when they're eating the fish. And so it gives them a much more complete diet by rotating those proteins. So that's one of the reasons that you would want to rotate proteins. But the other reason would be because of their vitamin and mineral content. Now, the particular brand that I was talking to and talking about with the higher copper, calcium, and phosphorus, those are naturally occurring calcium and phosphorus and the copper content. The thing to consider is whether or not your pet food has synthetic vitamins and minerals. So synthetic vitamins and minerals are taken by the body differently than naturally occurring vitamins and minerals. When you are ingesting those natural vitamins and minerals, and I mean like they're naturally occurring in the food that you're eating, your body can self-regulate what it needs and what it doesn't need. When you are taking it synthetically, your body is absorbing it whether you need it or not. Copper specifically, when it is synthetic, if your body doesn't need it, it's storing it in the liver. And that's what can create a toxic liver. And so maybe you've had a senior pet who's come back with elevated liver enzymes, and they're telling you, well, you've got a liver condition going on. A lot of times it's connected to those synthetic vitamins and minerals that are being stored in the body, and the body doesn't know what to do with them because they're synthetic. Whereas if they had been naturally occurring, your body can self-regulate and disregard or discard what it doesn't need. But it can't do that with the synthetic vitamins and minerals. So in talking with this company, they were saying, yes, they are elevated in some of our diets, but they're naturally occurring. There's no synthetic vitamins and minerals in there. In all of our dry food, there are going to be, well, I should say all, most of our dry food, there are synthetic vitamins and minerals. I would say carnivore is the only one that does not have synthetic vitamins and minerals. Nature's Logic doesn't either. And so those are going to be all naturally occurring vitamins and minerals that you're getting from those foods. From all of their dry foods and from a lot of our canned foods, you're going to be getting a synthetic vitamin pack in there. Why do they do that? They do that because these foods are cooked at very high temperatures. And so when you cook something at a very high temperature, you lose some of that nutritional value. So in order to add that back in and ensure the pet's receiving that vitamin and mineral content, they add it back in by way of synthetic vitamins and minerals so that they can make sure they meet the AAFCO minimums and make sure they don't exceed where there are maximums set. So synthetic vitamins and minerals are taken up by the body differently versus the natural. And rotating gives you exposure to more of those vitamins and minerals in some cases, like beef and fish can give you more copper, where some of the other proteins can give you less. So those are things to consider when you are feeding your pet. The other reason I would recommend rotation, especially if you're feeding dry and canned food, is that those synthetic vitamins and minerals can sometimes become accidentally excessive. We may have excessive or too few. There have been foods recalled for not enough vitamin D or too much vitamin D. Too much vitamin D can be very, very, very toxic for an animal. And not too long ago, a brand we don't carry had a massive issue because they had way excessive vitamin D in their food, and it was killing animals. And this particular brand of food is a prescription food, and people were on it and not rotating what they were feeding. So their pets were getting excessive levels of vitamin D every single day. And that wears on the pet's system and kills them eventually if you're not rotating what you're feeding. So everything that we carry is processed. There can always be accidents. Of course, we screen the pet foods we carry, and we feel like their manufacturing processes have been perfected to the point that they hold and test before they release and test for those kind of excessive vitamin and mineral contents. But there can always be a slip through. So by rotating the brands that you're feeding, you're going to avoid any kind of excessive intake for your pet. So it becomes a little bit less risky. The third reason I would say rotating proteins and even manufacturers is in case there's an outage. Right now, we're seeing some spotty inventory issues with certain companies. Our friends at Steve's are implementing some new processes to how they are making their pet food. And so with that implementation, it has taken a little bit of time to catch up. And so we're going to have some spotty outages with Steve's. And because of that, you're going to need to know if your pet can eat something else. You're going to need to you might need to rotate your pet on something else for a week or two, just to make sure that you have pet food that your pet can accept while you wait on Steve's to come back into distribution. So that is a third reason that I'd really recommend having other foods that you can feed and rotating through. Plus, we have a huge store full of wonderful pet foods, and all of them have their wonderful quality. So it's great to rotate through them and give your pet some variety. I mean, man, I would not like the same thing in my bowl day in and day out. And we recommend, no matter what you're feeding, from raw all the way on down to kibble, I recommend adding in some fun stuff. Don't just put dry food in the bowl. Put dry food and bone broth, or dry food and goat milk, or dry food and some toppers, dry food and some rehydrated freeze-dried, dry food and some gently cooked. Or if you're feeding gently cooked, rotate in some freeze-dried options on top. Or maybe use some sprinkles, or use some of the OC Raw additions that you can use that have high organ meat. Those are all really fun things. Yeah, Angie is saying green beans too. Those are a great addition. Just make sure that they are low or no sodium. But green beans are an awesome addition from a fresh standpoint. And, making it interesting for your pet, but also adding hydration. That is a real key point for us. Dry food and even freeze-dried. Freeze-dried is drier than dry food. They have less moisture than kibble. Those both need to have hydration added in with them. I recommend adding hydration in with any way you're feeding. I frequently add bone broth into the raw that we feed just to give extra hydration. But if your body doesn't have, your body, your dog's body, your cat's body, doesn't have hydration with the food that it's eating, they have to pull that moisture from their vital organs, and it can dehydrate them and, cause them to be excessively thirsty. So adding in that moisture helps with the digestion process. They need that moisture to digest the food because it's what opens the cell to receive the nutrition. So hydration is very important. And the key way you can do that is by adding hydration in with their diet. Again, fresh food, whether it be something that you cook at home. If that's a little bit too complicated, we understand. We have lots of fresh options here. We have our gently cooked diets, which are a great topper, super easy way to top your pet's food. And maybe you've heard of the subscription models like Farmer's Dog or Ollie's, all of those kind of foods. We have the exact same products, better quality, cheaper. And the amazing thing about it is you don't have to subscribe and wait for it to land on your doorstep because it's stuck at the hub in Kernersville. I saw a lot of those complaints on the news stories because it's literally right down the street in our store and our freezer at all times. So you can come down here and grab gently cooked to add to your pet's food and not need to fill your freezer with a subscription box full of food. You also know that it's a trusted brand, that it has great manufacturing processing, that it has great sourcing, and you know that we've already screened it. You don't know about the sourcing for that Farmer's Dog. You don't know about the processes for Ollie's, but you do know that we have already pre-screened everything that's in our stores. So protein rotation, food rotation, all very, very important for your pet's diet to make sure that they are receiving all the nutrition that they need and filling that amino acid complex up as much as you can for their nutritional profile, making sure they have all those amino acids, all those building blocks and foundation for their nutrition. Super duper important. Some of our dry food, especially, omegas are very unstable. And so when the dry food is baked, the omegas are essentially baked out of it. Even if you're getting a fish diet, there's very minimal omegas in a dry formulation in its raw form. But they will spray on a pelletant that goes over the top of the kibble that has omegas in it. And then as that gets exposed to air, again, it will start to degrade. So you can add those omegas back in by using a really high grade fish oil or coconut oil or marine oil made from plants in the ocean. So there are lots of different ways that you can get really creative with their diet and change up their bowl all the time. We have so many fun ways to be able to do that, from adding little quail eggs to adding, pieces of heart, adding pieces of liver. There are lots of fun ways that you can make that bowl really exciting for your pet and very, very nutritious. One side note that I will make, if you have a pet who is having a liver issue, one of the best things you can do is feed them liver. I wouldn't feed them liver in abundance, but giving them some supplementation of liver. Heart problems, you want to feed them heart. Kidney problems, feed them kidney or bladder. And so these are great ways for you to be able to add that nutrition in that your pet needs who's suffering from a medical issue. It's a great way for you to build them a better bowl. So these are all ways that we talk about from a pet store point of view to be able to help you build that better bowl, help your pet's health, their overall health, but also to live so much longer. And make it interesting. I would not want to eat the same bowl of cereal every single meal. It would get very boring for me. And pets should really enjoy their mealtime. It should really be beyond just the dry food in their bowl. So don't look at it as spoiling. That is one thing I hear a lot is, well, I don't want to get them addicted to canned food because then I'll spoil them. That's not spoiling them. That's giving them really good nutrition by mixing up and rotating what they eat. If you have a picky eater, sometimes this can keep them really engaged. Now, the warning I will give you, if you have a sensitive dog, you definitely want to switch up what they're eating with a transition supplement. So we have the Honest Kitchen, their digestive support. We also have Slippery Elm. We have pumpkin. We have a couple of different GI additives that you can add into their food to make the transition period better for them. If your pet is extremely sensitive, you definitely want to transition over a longer period of time and make their transitions a little bit slower. But you'll know your pet best when it comes to that. But it definitely also wards off sensitivities. If you're feeding your pet the same thing all the time, they tend to be more sensitive to those proteins later on. They build up a sensitivity to it. So rotating those proteins as much as you can help ward off those sensitivities. So there's my tip for the day. Rotate and make pet feeding exciting for your pet. Get them engaged and also know that you're offering them the best nutrition. No better time than to do those kind of things this month at All Pets Considered because we are hosting the Big Swap. We are doing a program where you can bring in what you're feeding. So maybe you order from Farmer's Dog or Ollie's and you're ordering a Gently Cooked from some other location. You can bring in what you're feeding. We will help you find something comparable to what we carry, and you can get a free bag of it, a free sample, depends on the product, but you can get a free item here to try out on us and see how it works for your pet. Give us a chance to show you how we shine. So if you've never shopped with us before, or maybe you've never shopped with us for pet food, you can come in to either location and participate in the Big Swap. And maybe you're looking for a topper. Maybe you're looking for the Bold Builders from OC Raw, like we featured last week, and come in and take advantage of that freebie sample and then get a discount on any purchases. So the whole month of March, we're almost to the end of March. We're getting there. So you want to make sure you step in our doors before the end of March to take advantage of our Big Swap. Come in to either store location and speak with our sales associates, and they can get you started on the Big Swap to try out the products that we sell. And don't forget, maybe it's convenient for you to do an online order for a subscription. We understand that convenience because we have that convenience on our website. And in our store, we can set you up a subscription so that you receive that product every so often. If you know how frequently you need it, we can set you up that subscription, and it will either be ready for in-store pickup or for delivery. And it's free local delivery over $25 within 12-mile radius of each store location. So most of Guilford County. And we're happy to set you up with that convenience because we do understand that is very convenient. So we do offer that. So if convenience is what you're going for, don't think you're going to be not getting that here. We have those convenient layers here as well. Okay, that's all I have to say today. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And for those of you going to Red Dog Farms, Dogs on the Catwalk this evening, I will see you there. We will be there with bells on. I'm looking forward to this event every single year. It's so much fun. And if you haven't already, their auction is live. And even if you're not going to the event, you can go on their Facebook page or their website and find the link to their live auction. And lots of cool things in there. Super, super cool things. I've already bid on a few things myself. And I'm looking forward to going tonight and hopefully winning some of those items. Such a fun night for such a great organization. So we hope to see you there. But if not there, we hope you'll at least participate in their auction. So you guys have a wonderful evening. And a wonderful weekend. It's going to be gorgeous out there. So get out and walk your dogs, bring them into both of our store locations. Do the same with your kitty cats. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, everybody.